Hey, hey, hey. Happy Thursday. Come on in, pull up a chair. The Daily Dope is in the air. Hey, hey, hey. Happy Thursday. Yes. Welcome once again to the Duct Tape Studios. I am your host, Jeff McAleer. Once again, bringing you the Daily Dope, sponsored by thegaminggang.com. I apologize. I'm kind of jumping around. I was changing up a couple of last minute images, specifically the date, because I get everything set up. I've had all my news and that ready for hours. And I start the stream and I'm like, oh, wait, I don't have the date changed. Hey, it's a live stream. What can I tell you? Anyway, welcome aboard. If this is your first time joining me, let me just say thanks for popping in. Do want to mention this is very, very casual. Just hang out for the most part. Talking about tabletop gaming news. So, board games, role-playing games, card games, miniatures games. On occasion, we'll talk PC gaming, which we shall tonight. And every once in a while, pop culture just kind of pops its head up. But for the most part, it's all about tabletop gaming. Certainly not any sort of rocket surgery by any stretch of the imagination as well. So tonight is Thursday, November 19th, 2020. This is episode 576 of the Daily Dope. So I do want to mention that before we get too far into the show, if you like this video, by all means, give it a quick thumbs up. Subscribe to the Gaming Gang channel if you haven't already. And of course, if you do subscribe, don't forget, ding that bell. Because not only will it let you know when the Daily Dope streams live, Monday through Thursday nights, right here on YouTube, it'll also let you know when I upload other videos, such as my upcoming review for Black Sword Hack. Yes, very, very interesting, very interesting. So that is on the horizon. So is quite a lot of other things too. Anyway, also should mention that when you're not watching videos on the Gaming Gang channel, be sure to visit thegaminggang.com for all the latest in gaming news, reviews, comics, movies, TV. You know the drill. Get your geek on at thegaminggang.com. Also, because this is a live stream, that also means that chat is available on YouTube. It's not on screen. It's one of the ways that I keep some of the more unusual commenters at bay. But I do my best to pay attention to chat. So if you'd like to say howdy, or maybe you get a question, a comment, by all means, please chime in. I will do my best to respond. So first out the gate was Flaming Huron, saying hello in chat. Flaming Huron happens to be one of our chat moderators. So behave yourselves. Don't make Flaming Huron bust out the ban hammer, as we always jokingly refer to it as. I think we've only actually had to kick one person out of chat. That's it, once. John Vogel's here. We also have Kabuki Kid in the house as well. Double K has arrived to join us in chat. All right, so let me grab a quick sip here. Like I said, I've had everything done for a while today. Just ended up running around last minute. So I've got some updates on things going on with the family. Tain't too good. But I do have updates. So if you have been following along, it turns out that something just popped up that I don't need. It's like, what was that? No, get rid of that. Get that out of there. A Great A's in chat with us as well. Good to see you, Great A. Anyway, so if you have been following the show the past couple of nights, you do know that my brothers in-laws, my sister-in-law's mom and dad, there was concern that they had coronavirus, and they had, well, we weren't positive if they were admitting her dad or not yesterday. It was all kind of up in the air. The doctor wanted him admitted, and then they got to the hospital, and then that information wasn't there, and I don't know. It was, of course, my brother's getting all upset. Now, this is up in Michigan. Now, we're down here in the Chicago area, and my brother's all upset, and I kept telling him, hey, these hospitals are overwhelmed with what's going on right now. You got to cut these people slack, okay? This isn't like, normal. Not normal, shenanigans at the hospital. So anyway, so it turns out they've all got it. They've all got COVID-19. So her dad is in the hospital. Her mom is sick. Her sister's coming down with it. Her brother has been exposed, but he was going to get tested today. Now, my sister-in-law's mother and sister did not go get tested because they were told, you've got it. There's no need to waste a test on either of them. They've got it. And I mean, it's possible her nephew may have it, and her nephew's wife, and just, it's going to be one of these things where you see like on the news where like this entire family got COVID. It's exactly what's going on up in Michigan. And I don't know. Just keep my fingers crossed. Everything's going to be okay. So I have not got any updates in quite a few hours. But I do know that my nephew Cameron, who is a member of the gang, and my niece Madison did talk to their grandfather today on the phone. So he's not on a ventilator, at least at this point. So, and I believe they were inducing, or not, I shouldn't say inducing. They were giving him the antibodies. So I guess it was to do that. I think you got to be in kind of dire shape when they give you that, because they don't want you, spiraling. So I don't know. All right. So Flamin' Heron says, it's not strange. A large family got it down here because of their movements. They actually put one of our states in a lockdown. Yes. It's crazy. You can have a super spreader event start off with like 3 people. Really? I mean, it's like, I don't know. And, think about it. It's Typhoid Mary, effectively, times how many million? Anyway. So, yes, every time we turn around, it's just more bizarre, bad news. Oh, although there is another, vaccine. So there's 3 now. So we'll see. Fingers crossed. We'll see what happens. Anyway, so let's move on to some gaming news, because that'll cheer us up, right? So thank you, Flaming Heron, who's wishing them that they get better soon. So do I. No more bad news for me. Actually, I'm pretty lucky. Yeah, considering it wasn't that long ago and nearly had a fatal heart attack. I don't get a ton of bad news usually. I normally don't get a ton of bad news. Anywho, my first news piece. There's a new family game. It's from Gamewright. It's in stores right now. And I've got a wee bit of dope about shifting stones. Are you on the lookout for the perfect new family strategy game? Shifting Stones has just rolled off our presses. That would be the Gamewright presses, not the Gaming Gang presses. 9 tiles complete a grid of rocky ruins. Rearrange the tiles to match the patterns in your hand. The catch is that you must sacrifice a card every time you swap or flip a tile. Carve out the most points, and you'll be the winner. Leave no stone unturned. 9 mystical tiles lie before you in a grid of rocky ruins. Rearrange the tiles to match that pattern in hand. Carve out the most points, and your victory will be set in stone. Shifting Stones is for 1 to 5 players, ages 8 and up. Plays around 20 minutes. Does carry an MSRP of $14.99. So we've got some new family gaming from Gamewright. The last game I played by Gamewright was Dungeon Drop. So, and I had fun with that. We got a kick out of that. We thought it was kind of cool. Nice to see they were doing a Kickstarter to get some expansions with more monsters and creatures and little things with that to be added in with that. But this could be a kind of cool, light strategy game that is fine for the entire family. Moving right along, there is a Kickstarter which is launched from Academy Games. I've got to dope on Reality Shift. Race, hack, win. In Reality Shift, race across large magnetic reality cubes while hacking into them to change their positions. Move your light bike across any side of the cubes to find the path to the finish. Shift reality by hacking the track to slide, rotate, flip, and tilt the reality cubes. Block your opponent's paths, make your path to the finish shorter, or crush your opponents. Reality Shift is a fast-paced 3D racing game for 2 to 4 players set in a retro virtual reality world. What would that remind me of? I don't know. Jeff Bridges might be in it. Just can't recall. The racetrack is made of cubes whose magnetic facings have different paths on them. Your light bike is not constricted or constrained by gravity. Your magnetic figure can use any accessible path on the tops and the sides of the cubes. Being fast is not enough, though. You'll need to be able to play a card each turn that will move a reality cube, creating a track that is always shifting. Don't have a path to the finish? Transform the board to make one. Is an opponent in the lead? Change the track to block their way, or just crush them with a reality cube, forcing them to respawn at the start. Be faster, smarter, and more ruthless than the other racers to win. We've got a short Kickstarter video. It's a little less than 2 minutes in length. So let's take a peek at Reality Shift.
Welcome to Reality Shift, the board game simulation of a 3D virtual reality race. I'm John, here with my co-announcer and AI overlord, Prime.
Today is going to be a great race. I don't expect anyone to survive.
Okay. The race is on, with each racer materializing on the start cube. Each racer is choosing their own path. Where is the green racer going? Green is driving on the side of a cube.
There are no limitations of physics here.
The blue racer drops its checkpoint, rounds the corner, and is on a straightaway headed towards the finish cube. The red racer is behind with no clear path to the finish. But wait! Red hacks the track, transforming it and crushing blue under a cube. Oh, ouch! That has to hurt.
The haptic suits I require the racers to wear make the pain real. Ha ha ha.
Oh, that's just cruel. Blue rematerializes at its checkpoint and is back in the race. Green has no clear path to the finish and is far behind red, but green hacks the track and brings the finish closer.
What an expert move.
Red can't catch up, and the green racer wins.
I want to thank our sponsors, Academy Games and Apollo Games, for a great race.
Reality Shift is for 2 to 4 players, ages 14 and up. Plays in around 15 to 40 minutes as well. You can reserve a copy of the core game for a $40 pledge. Now, that will not include any stretch goals. You can get stretch goals with the core game for a $55 pledge through December 1st. Expected delivery is May of next year. So Grade A says, Apollo Games, they sound familiar. as Paul Nolan has joined us in chat, popped in as that video was coming up. All right. So let me preface this by saying I like Academy games. I've enjoyed, now granted, I haven't played tons of Academy games. Of course, there's Conflict of Heroes, Awakening the Bear, 1812, 1754. Those are the 3 games that I have played. This game's just not doing it for me. I gotta be honest. It's just, I don't know. It seems to me that Academy Games is trying to not necessarily move completely away from like historical conflict games, but kind of branch out a little bit. And that's why this is actually from Apollo Games, but it's going to be produced by Academy Games. So Great Ace says, it's a new line by Academy Games. Yeah, that's another thing that kind of throws me off too with some of these companies where, who is it? Isn't it Worthington just did this? Old school war games. And it's sort of like, well, Worthington isn't like some big company where it's like, oh, and this is our old school war games division over here. To me, it just dilutes their branding that they've already established. So Great A's quoting, Great A's like always like right there on Wikipedia and Google and the Google. The intent of the new division is to bring the company's expertise in tactical and military games to the science fiction and fantasy genres. There you go. Bingo. Anyway, here's the other thing I don't like about this. And I have seen this on some other Kickstarters, and I've said this when I've covered those Kickstarters as well. I do not like Kickstarters that give you a pledge level that does not include stretch goals, and then they give you a pledge level that does include stretch goals. I think that's weak. That is weak sauce in my book. If you want to do it where okay, well, we got the stretch goals, then should be just bam, that is the price. That includes stretch goals. Because the thing is, the reality is, most people are going to completely ignore that stretch goal that says, well, you don't, or I should say the pledge level that's like, well, you don't get any stretch goals. I don't know. I have no idea. So Great Ace says that they think this Apollo Games is related to Uwe's son being more involved with the company. I've interviewed Uwe's son. He's really nice. We talked at the last in-person Origins Game Fair, and that's when they were talking about One Small Step. It hadn't gone to Kickstarter or anything like that. In fact, that's out now. That looks pretty good. But yeah, then they also did that like superhero game. Can't recall the name of that. They kickstarted that and it had like building levels that you could like destroy and things like that. It was I want to say Agents of Atlas, but I know that's not it. That's a comic from Marvel. Agents of something. So Great Ace says they have a 4X game coming that has a PC sci-fi game license. Isn't it Stellaris? Don't they have a Stellaris license? Thank you, Agents of Mayhem. There you go. Like I said, a Great A's like always on top of this. Between a Great A, Flaming Huron, the Madman, who's not with us tonight because I know he had mentioned last night he would be picking up his daughter from college. And Kabuki Kid, we usually have, if somebody's got a question or if I can't remember something, they're usually right on top of it. Yes, so Great A says, yes, they're pretty sure it's Stellaris too. I'm about 99% positive it is Stellaris because it was that was the origins that we saw a lot of game companies with like game licenses from Paradox Interactive. They change their name all the time. I always have to stop and remember what are they being called now. Although I love Stellaris. I think Stellaris is excellent. Flaming Heron says, I know nothing. I know nothing. I see nothing. So, hey, nobody got my little reference last night So I'll take a guess somebody out there is going to get this reference I just made. Anyway, so a Great A says that they saw an interview with Academy Games and they were talking about these two games. Nice, cool. Once again, I'm not trying to dissuade anybody from backing this. It's I think it's about halfway. Oh, Paul Nolan says that they got the Get Smart reference. Oh, it must have zipped by me in chat. I didn't notice that. Paul, way to go, Paul. Yes. Hooray. He didn't miss it by that much. What was the other one I was going to say? And it didn't pop into my head until later on. So it was always missed it by that much. Or this much. Missed it by this much. Then there was, would you believe? The other one was, and loving it. So Flaming Huron says, I knew, but I couldn't find my shoe phone to let me know. Chief, I demand the cone of silence. All righty, moving right along. I see nothing. I know nothing. We've got a double dip of free PC games from the Epic Games Store this week. First off, I've got the dope on Elite Dangerous from Frontier Developments. Elite Dangerous is the definitive, massively multiplayer space epic, bringing gaming's original open-world adventure to the modern generation with a connected galaxy, evolving narrative, and the entirety of the Milky Way recreated at its full galactic proportions. Starting with only a small starship and a few credits, players do whatever it takes to earn the skill, knowledge, wealth, and power to survive in a futuristic, cutthroat galaxy and to stand among the ranks of the iconic elite. In an age of galactic superpowers and interstellar war, every player's story influences the unique connected gaming experience and handcrafted evolving narrative. Governments fall, battles are won and lost, and humanity's frontier is reshaped, all by the player's actions. This also includes Horizon Season. Experience a whole new angle on the galaxy with the Horizon Season now included in Elite Dangerous. Journey from the stars to the surfaces of strange worlds. Hit the ground running in the Scarab Surface Recon Vehicle. Craft weapons, deploy ship-launched fighters, and experience exhilarating multi-crew co-op action. It's a galaxy of wonders. The 400 billion star systems of the Milky Way are the stage for Elite Dangerous's open-ended gameplay. The real stars, planets, moons, asteroid fields, and black holes of our own galaxy are built to their true epic proportions in the largest design play space in video game history. It's a unique connected game experience. As I said, governments fall, battles are lost and won, and humanity's frontier is reshaped by players' actions. In an age of galactic superpowers and interstellar war, every player's personal story influences connected galaxy and the handcrafted evolving narrative. There is a short launch video. Now this is a few years old. For some reason, I think it originally came out, I think in 2015. Might be wrong, but I think that's when this originally did come out. But I have a launch video, and interestingly enough, it is not gameplay video. It's just video. But still looks pretty cool. So as I mentioned, I thought it's kind of funny that that launch video, it says right off the bat, it's like not gameplay video. But I've always heard really good things about Elite Dangerous. So as I've mentioned before, usually when I share these free games over at the Epic Game Store, I always go over to Steam because then you can read reviews. Because on the Epic Game Store, there really aren't reviews. Sometimes they'll show some like video game website review scores, and that's it. But actually, this is very, very positively, received. So I guess people still play it a lot. So I like MMOs, except I'm not a big PvP player. I don't know. It just isn't my bag. Once again, I've said umpteen times, I normally don't play like evil characters or anything like that. And I seem to recall there was a game I played, and it may have actually been this, but I don't recall the name of it. And it was an MMO, and you had your ship, and you were doing different things, and you're kind of grinding away. And I was like, oh yeah, this is all right. It's kind of cool. And then I got attacked and blown up and lost like half of everything I had. I was like, nah, forget it. Like, no thanks. So a grade A does, it looks like a grade A plays Elite Dangerous and enjoys it. So nice. And grade A said they've been playing, what was the game here? I just saw it a second ago. Grim Dawn. That is not something I'm familiar with off the top of my head, but absolutely free right now. So, and I would think with it being free on the Epic Game Store, you're probably going to see a little more like rejuvenation into this. I did notice that there was, I think there was like a developer's diary back in October. So, I mean, it looks like the game is still being supported. So that's pretty cool. So Grade A says Grim Dawn from the makers of the Titan RPG isometric game. Cool deal. Got it. He got it on a deal. All right. So that's the first of our free games. Let's move on to the second free game, because we have The World Next Door, which is from Rose City Games and VIZ Media. I believe this was the first video game that VIZ Media ever did or ever was involved with. Anyway, regardless, I've got the dope. Inspired by the emotional storytelling and thrilling action of anime and indie gaming, The World Next Door follows Yoon, I think that's how it's pronounced, I think it's Yoon, a rebellious teen who finds herself far from home in the magical and mysterious world of Emrys. As she encounters a colorful cast of otherworldly creatures, Yoon must learn to rely on her new friends to return home before time runs out. In The World Next Door, players will find an addictive mix of immersive visual novel elements, powerful storytelling, and lightning-fast puzzle battles. Journey into Emrys, a magical world brought to life with anime-inspired characters designed by Lord Grease. Use magical runes and the help of friends to defeat opponents and find a way home. Cast spells in fast-paced real-time combat that mixes the fun of puzzle combos with action gameplay. Immerse yourself in a supernatural story with branching dialogue and reputation systems that affect your relationships with characters in the game. Focus on the story while still enjoying the gameplay with assist mode. Challenge your friends in the lightning-fast versus mode. I do also have a quick launch video from Rose City Games, so let's take a peek. Score both Elite Dangerous and The World Next Door absolutely free at the Epic Game Store through November 26th, which just happens to be Thanksgiving here in the U.S., which I think then we get Mud Runners, so something a little different. But once again, I have seen that this is a very well-received game as well. Especially, it even says in the description, and I assumed when I first saw the trailer, this is going to appeal to people who enjoy puzzle games and visual novels. So I think they'll get a kick out of it. Although I got to admit, strangely enough, the main character with the little midriff in like the really short shorts looks kind of odd. Oh, like she's supposed to be like a young girl. It's a little too sexualized for my taste here. But anyway, so Craig Martin has joined us in chat. Good to see you, Craig. And is mentioning that they have been playing Viscounts of the West Kingdom, but it's a tricky game to teach. Huh. Interesting. It wouldn't... well, then again, like I said, I haven't played a lot of Shem Phillips games. I really have enjoyed Raiders of the North Sea, but I don't recall that being very difficult to teach. So I don't know. Then again, you got to figure that a lot of these, like the West Kingdom games and the North Sea games, kind of sort of have the same mechanics, but there's like kind of tweaks and twists to them. So that would not surprise me. All right. So hold on. Here comes Pinky. Are we gonna hear her on the mic? Hang on. I don't know. Maybe you heard her or not. She actually, so one of the reasons I like this mic is because it does not pick up a lot of background noise. It does pick up some, but not a lot. Anyway, Flaming Herod says nope, and a Gray Day says yes. Probably depends on if you are using headphones. So I don't know. Well, I'll tell you what, if you could probably just pick it up a little bit, but trust me, it was loud. The one thing with this microphone that I kind of worry about is, well, I don't say it's like anything, any of the mics that I use. And I know the other mic, the Audio Technica or Audio-Teca. No, I think it's Audio Technica that I had was that it would pick up, because in the duct tape studios, there is a furnace. The furnace is loud, just like the air conditioning is down here, and it gets a little loud. And I don't like to use a gate on my audio. I mean, I do have a gate on it, but I don't like to set it really high because then it kind of like clips off the words and it sounds really weird. So thankfully, this does not pick up a lot of the ambient sound around me. Then again, you know, with my luck, it's really when the furnace kicks on, people are like, "Oh my God, what is that noise?" And I just don't hear it because I almost never listen to the show with headphones or earbuds or anything like that. All right. Anyway, so a couple of freebies from Epic Game Store, and they're both very, very well received. So let's move on to some role-playing game news, because as someone mentioned last night, and if I remember right, I think it was Flaming Huron, there is a massive Humble Bundle that is available right now, and it features our Talsorian Games' Cyberpunk 2020. I've got the dope. Welcome to the world of imagination and the future by R. Talsorian. Get Cyberpunk tabletop RPG ebooks like Night City Sourcebook, Firestorm Stormfront, Forlorn Hope, Cyberpunk 2020, the core book, and Home of the Brave. Plus, Your purchase helps support able gamers. The corporations control the world from their skyscraper fortresses, enforcing their rule with armies of cyborg assassins. On the street, booster gangs roam a shattered urban wilderness, killing and looting. So it's basically Detroit. I'm kidding. I am kidding. It's just a joke. Good thing the madman's not here. Because isn't it the madman, I think, is the person who lives near Detroit or in Detroit. The rest of the world is a perpetual party as fashion model, beautiful techies rub biosculpt jobs with battle-armored road warriors in the hottest clubs, sleaziest bars, and meanest streets this side of the post-Holocaust. The future never looked so bad. But you can change it. You've got interface plugs in your wrists, weapons in your arms, lasers in your eyes, biochip programs screaming in your brain. That would suck because you wouldn't be able to think with those screaming in your brain. You're wired in, cyber enhanced, in solid state as you can take it to the fatal edge where only the toughest and coolest can go because you're cyberpunk. Cyberpunk, the original role-playing game of the dark future, a world of corporate assassins, heavy metal heroes, and brain-burning cyber hackers, packed with cutting-edge technology and intense urban action. Within this book, you'll find everything you need to tackle the mean streets of the 2000s. Yeah, 2020, baby. And a game system that combines the best in realistic action and playability. Pay $1 or more. Normally, the total cost for the ebooks in this bundle is as much as $505. Keeping in mind, these are PDFs. Here at Humble Bundle, you choose the price and increase your contribution to upgrade your bundle. This bundle has a minimum buck purchase. You can score all of the PDFs, all $505 worth of PDFs for $15. That is a smoking deal. Read them anywhere. These ebooks in this bundle are available in PDF format, as I just mentioned. So they work on your computer, e-readers, iPads, cell phones, and a wide array of mobile devices, especially since you're already jacked in that. You can probably just bring it up and look right at it in front of your face with your hacked eyes, right? Also, you get to support a charity. Choose where the money goes between the publisher and able gamers via PayPal's Giving Fund. Very cool, very nice. This just launched. I think we've got this for about a month. I know a Grade A's online. Head on over to Humble Bundle. Grade A told me. I think it's 28 days when I took a peek earlier today. I thought it showed that it was 28 days. So here's something that I did notice about this. Strangely enough, at the $1 level, you don't get the core book for Cyberpunk 2020. It's at the $8 level. But also included in this, I'm trying to remember which level it's at. It's either 8 or 15. I think it might be 15. You can get the Cyberpunk Red Jumpstart Kit, which if you just got that PDF, it'd be $10. So, I mean, like I said, this is a smoking deal. I don't know if this happens to be all of the Cyberpunk 2020 releases that our Talsorian Games has had over the years, but it certainly looks like it because there's a lot. And like I said, $15. And come on, you're going to help out able gamers. You can't go wrong. Cannot go wrong. Plus, here's another tidbit I'll throw in there. If you've gotten Cyberpunk Red, which we know is now out in PDF, exclusively a drive-through RPG, and you're like, wow, I wish I had more content. Ka-ching! even though this is Cyberpunk 2020, big deal. So you throw like a few decades onto the year and you're good to go. You're good to go. Nice. So there's some discussion of Dr. Detroit. I saw Dr. Detroit just like Kabuki Kid did in a theater. So Kabuki Kid says Detroit is a touchy subject recently with the vote counting thing going on. It's not touchy with me. Only people it's touchy with are the people who can't accept that the current president lost. So Paul Nolan says, don't tell about Dr. Destroyer. I'm not sure who Dr. Destroyer is. Disavowed 92's in chat with us. Good to see it, Disavowed. And Ibram has popped into chat as well. All right. Anyway. Yeah, so Flaming Heron says, unfortunately, unless you got the core book, you need to buy the second tier. Yeah, exactly. But it's still $8. Okay, so Flaming Heron says it is at the same level as the core book, the Jumpstart kit. So you can get that at the $8 level. And it's about 27 days, almost 27 days. So Flaming Heron says, as to whether it's all the stuff, I would be great if it was, because there's tons of stuff. Yeah, there is. I mean, this Humble Bundle really is a good deal. Really has a lot. Humble Bundles, I find, and we don't have a ton of RPG Humble Bundles. Usually our big savings on role-playing game PDFs come through Bundle of Holding. But when we do have role-playing game, special Humble Bundles, it's usually jam-packed with content. So Kabuki Kid says, yes, agree, Jeff. The Detroit boot thing drives me crazy. Just certify it and shut up. I'm right with you. Like I said, I try not to get into politics here, but it's pretty obvious to people what side my bread is buttered on, I guess. Paul Nolan says, Dr. Destroyer's from Champions. I knew that. Oh, it's in Detroit. He starts his war. Ha. I remember Champions. You know what? When we finish up the news, we will talk a little bit about superhero role-playing games, I think. All right, let's move on to our last news piece, because now available from my friends over at Cubicle 7 Entertainment is Warhammer Fantasy Roleplay Middenheim, City of the White Wolf. And I've got the dope. Famed for its impregnability, set atop the mighty Vorschlag, struck flat by Ulrich's fist, not Elric's fist, because you would think this would be Elric's city, because it's the City of the White Wolf, and Elric of Melna Bane is the White Wolf, but that's a completely different fantasy setting. Middenheim commands authority over all who stand beneath its towering presence. Hewn from living rock by peerless dwarf skill, it's a striking fortress city where Ulrich, not Elric, the god of war, winter, and wolves, reigns supreme. The sacred eternal flame burns pure and bright in the heart of a city famed throughout the old world, riven by dark cults, clambering merchants, and seditious schemers. Damn you, seditious schemers. Middenheim has little room for heroes and less time for wasters, but for cagey opportunists with the will and grit to carve a small piece of something better, well, they might stand a chance. Middenheim, City of the White Wolf, takes players out of the familiar grand province of the Reichland and drops them in the center of Ulrichian influence and power in the old world. Middenheim sits at the heart of the Empire's northern expanse and is the perfect setting for endless, grim, and perilous adventure. Each district of the expansive city is carefully detailed, with locations, plot hooks, and NPCs too numerous to list. A beautifully illustrated map, provided with both GM and player versions, shows off the city in exquisite detail. Need an inn in the alt market? A pawnbroker in the Kleinmut? Details on the Kisvilite embassy? Middenheim has everything you require. Middenheim, City of the White Wolf, distills the best of previous writing on the chosen city of Ulrich and combines it with new creatures, new NPCs, new locations, and rules to create the ultimate source book for groups wishing to adventure in Middenheim and its surrounds. Full rules for creating Middenheimer, Middenlander, and Nordlander characters are included, along with a new career for true devotees of Ulrich, not Elric. A standalone book, Middenheim, City of the White Wolf, also makes an excellent supplement for those intending to run Power Behind the Throne. I knew that's why they were releasing this. Part 3 of the Enemy Within campaign. While the campaign content is very focused in the events of Power Behind the Throne, this book provides more details on the city for GMs who are happy to let their groups explore more widely. It details Middenheim around 2512 IC prior to the events of the Enemy Within, but includes an appendix with updates on how future events are set to alter the city. Middenheim, City of the White Wolf includes a history of Middenheim, a timeline of events leading up to the present day, detailing the city's past as a stronghold of the Ulrichian faith and one-time home to the usurper wolf emperors. A visitor's guide. Visitors, Jeff. Visitors. 80 pages of detailed locations, NPCs, and plot hooks set throughout the city's many districts. Dark cults of Middenheim. A rundown on the cults and conspiracies that make Middenheim their home, any one of which could threaten the very fabric of political, cultural, or religious life in the city. Middenheim is more than just a city. It also commands the territories that surround it, as far as coastal Nordland. The Duchy of Middenheim provides details on regions directly within ambit of the city, as well as the often fractious nobility that control them. There's a bestiary with additional beasts, new character options for creating local adventurers, and the Wolfkin career for those willing to embody the spirit of Ulrich in all things. Middenheim, City of the White Wolf is an excellent and entertaining addition to any gaming table. Packed with lore, NPCs, and exciting adventure hooks, it will kickstart your next adventure without actually paying for like a Kickstarter. You kickstart your next adventure in Warhammer Fantasy Roleplay. The 160-page PDF is available over at DriveThruRPG for $19.99. Cool. I was going to say, I knew when I saw this came out today, and my friends over at Cubicle 7 Games has already sent me the PDF to take a peek at. Hopefully we'll actually get to see the physical book. But, you know, the physical books are usually way behind. We're still waiting on part 2 of The Enemy Within to come out. But as soon as I saw this come out, before I even read any of the sell sheet info, the publisher information, I was like, I betcha they're releasing it because they're getting really close to releasing part 3 of The Enemy Within. Anyway, I should mention, of course, that the gaming gang, thus the Daily Dope, are affiliated with the One Bookshelf sites. So if you are going to go visit, say, DriveThruRPG, be sure to stop by thegaminggang.com first. Click on one of our banner ads. That way, if you do happen to make a purchase, I get a little portion of that sale. And those nickels, dimes, and quarters all add up and really do help. They really do help. I don't just say this. They really do help keep the Gaming Gang website around. All right. Anyway, the other thing I was going to say is those of you who are much, much more familiar with the Enemy Within campaign is because I remember there's an adventure where it's before the climax and the heroes leave like the Reichland. Is that up in Middenheim that they go? Because I thought, if I remember correctly, I thought Cubicle 7 is doing 5 parts. They're doing 5 parts for Enemy Within. So I am not positive. Like I said, someone out there with a much better knowledge of the Enemy Within can chime in on that. All right, so we will get into a little discussion of superhero role-playing games in just a moment. There is some discussion right now in chat about it. So Flaming Heron says, Geralt of Rivia from the Witcher titles is also the White Wolf. Hops! Elric and Melniboné, baby. The Witcher. The Witcher's like, you know, that's like, he's like a little kid compared to Elric. Come on. Just kidding. Yes, that's right. I forgot he's the White Wolf too. But the thing, the reason why I keep thinking Elric is because I keep talking about the god Ulrich. And I kind of have to wonder if that came into play when they were naming it, right? All right. Anyway, so do want to mention you still have time to get in the running to win my copy of Tasha's Cauldron of Everything for Dungeons and Dragons from Wizards of the Coast. To get in the running, all you got to do, check out either one or both, because if you check both out and you follow the instructions, you'll get 2 entries. Just check out my first look video as well as the review video, and I will tell you how to get into the running. I have to laugh because the first look video, I guess, got a lot of traffic from Reddit. And I followed one of the links from Reddit, and I was reading some of the comments. And I mean, they were fine. And then out of nowhere, somebody said, "This guy freaks the F out of me." It's like, really? The hell am I doing? Freaked you out? Didn't say creeps him out or anything, or it could have been a woman. I don't know. I assume on Reddit it's probably mainly guys on the D&D Reddit. And it was just, and if I remember right, I think they put like a little smiley face after, and I was like, what does that mean? I don't know what that means. All right, what's on the horizon? Also got a review of Undaunted will show up this weekend. Sorry, still didn't get a chance to do my unboxing for Caesar. I will do that. It'll be up tomorrow, I promise. As well as my unboxing for Dune Imperium. I'm going to jump all over that because I want to check that out. Also this weekend, stay tuned. I'll have my review of the Illustrated at the Mountains of Madness Volume 1 from Free League Publishing. So I've got that. A review of Black Sword Hack, speaking of Elric, of Melniboné, and Corum, and Hawkmoon, and what is it? Von Beck. I can't remember Von Beck's first name. It might be Ulrich. Ulrich von Beck. The Eternal Champions. So we got that. Speaking of smaller games, so you remember I was talking about 9th level games, and they had mazes, which they kickstarted, and it's only available physically. And then I did a news piece about The Excellence, which is a princess role-playing game, aimed at families and kids. So the fine folks over at 9th Level Games was sending me a package that had mazes, Excellence, or The Excellence, I should say, and Business Wizards, which I also did a news piece about. And I hadn't gotten anything, so I shot an email to my contact there, and she came back and said, yeah, it was sent out. Let me check, and I'll get you a tracking number. So she sent me the tracking number, and according to, and it's, of course, the mail, right? U.S. Postal Service. According to that, it's last was seen in Chicago, and I live in a suburb outside Chicago. Well, it's a far suburb, but still. It's been hanging out in Chicago since the 13th. And it says it's in transit to its next location. I'm like, that's lost. I've seen that a couple of times before on deliveries. That ain't showing up. So, fingers crossed, either somehow it shows up or the fine folks over at 9th Level decide to contact the Postal Service and say, hey, what's going on here? And maybe send another one out. Don't know, because I was really, really looking forward to checking out mazes. One other thing I do want to, two other things, and we'll talk a little bit about some superhero role-playing games. If you follow me on Twitter, earlier today, I tweeted out that as of January 1st, I will no longer share Kickstarter news for companies who do not support the gaming gang. And if you saw that, I don't want you to think I was like mad or anything like that, because a lot of times people read things into like tweets or comments that is not intended. So it wasn't like, no. But I was just pointing out, and I actually said something along the lines of, if the gaming gang isn't good enough to review your games, then we're certainly not good enough to share your news. So so we may see a little less Kickstarter news popping up after January 1st. But I did want to point that out because I get flooded with Kickstarter requests from companies I have never heard of. Now, if a company is just brand new and they're just starting out, yes, I'll throw them a bone. But if it's some of these companies who are constantly sending me news pieces and Kickstarter stuff, and I've reached out to them and said, hey, why don't we, how about throwing me a bone here, man? Well, let me review one of your games. And it's like crickets. No. Ain't gonna happen. Right, second thing. Only 3 shows next week because Thursday will be Thanksgiving here in the United States. So I am going to be making dinner for my dad. We are not going to get together with my brother and sister-in-law and my niece and nephew because of the current situation with this damn pandemic. So anyway, just want to let you know, no Thanksgiving edition of The Daily Dope. And I know Thanksgiving is a U.S. thing, so that's why I'm pointing that out for those of you, because I know I've got folks watching other parts of the world. They aren't necessarily, maybe they're even up in Canada too, because they don't celebrate, well, they have their own Thanksgiving. They don't celebrate Thanksgiving when we do. All right, anyway, so Flaming Heron says, talking about package, says, yeah, I heard that too, about the package for like 9th level. Don't give up. Something took more than a few weeks, an hour up the road from us. Once, and it was a package from, it was either Tiny Battle or it was from Flying Pig Games. Both of those are owned by Mark Walker. And they sent something out. It didn't show up. A month went by. They had sent another one out. I got it. Another month after that, the original package showed up, and it was just beat to hell. I was like, oh my gosh. So Kabuki Kid says they're doing a private Thanksgiving. Great A says nothing's happening on Thanksgiving. Flaming Heron's like, you aren't inviting us to Thanksgiving? You know what? If you can make it, Flaming Heron, you alone are invited. It's like, was it Australia that you live? Something like that. Kabuki Kid says they're going to be making chicken or something just because it's the two of them. I am making a ham, so I'm going to do a ham. I love turkey. I really, really like turkey a lot. Making a turkey for 2 people is a little too much. Plus, with the size of the turkeys, you can get these turkeys that are small, and then there's like nothing on them. And then the next step up is a huge turkey where you'll be begging for the Bumpus's dogs to come running through the house to clean you out afterwards because you don't want all that turkey. So A Great A says it's going to be Family Dungeon Crawl Classic Funnel Sessions. Nice. That sounds very cool. I've been bouncing around the idea of doing like a really like rules light fantasy RPG with some Dungeon Crawl Classics adventures, or even further back, some old Judges Guild stuff. So, Flaming Huron says, "Can I even get into America? Probably stop us at the border. Probably. All right, so let's talk a little bit about role-playing games featuring our four color friends. And I don't mean that racially. I mean the four colors comics, right? That's how they used to make the comic books. There were four colors. Boy, I tell you. Anyway, so there was some discussion about who remembered Villains and Vigilantes. I do. I remember that. In fact, Villains and Vigilantes was the first superhero game I ever picked up. And if I remember correctly, and I'm sure if I'm wrong, somebody's going to correct me out here. If I remember, you actually would base the attributes off of the actual person. So that was what was recommended. I think it was kind of, optional if you wanted to roll dice. And I'll never forget, we were sitting there, and I think I was a junior in high school. And by that time, I was the president of our gaming club, the Gamers Guild. And we had some freshmen who were part of who joined the club. And we all had we call it study hall. And it's basically you had downtime and you went to the auditorium, and our auditorium was huge. The high school I went to had thousands of students. It takes up an entire Chicago city block. It's that big. It's Lane Technical High School, Albert G. Lane Technical High School, but most people call it Lane Tech, like me. So anyway, we were sitting there and we were actually going through creating our characters, and we were all like, no way, man. Your strength is probably like a 7. Nah, you're pretty slow, dude. I think you're good. And the thing is, I don't think we ever played. I honestly don't think I ever played. I used to get tons of role-playing games. Almost as many role-playing games that I get now for reviewing. I used to get, just go buy them. So one day I'll have to try to sit down and make a list of all the role-playing games that I owned throughout my high school years. And I mean, it's mind-blowing. If I go through college, there's a ton of them there as well. Clint Gibson has joined us in chat. Good to see you. It says, cool, you're still on. I got to make it live for once. Stupid work. Damn you, work. Villains and Vigilantes, always liked. I always thought Villains and Vigilantes was underappreciated, I think. Now, I have not seen the new editions at all, but I think, aren't they on the third? Don't they have a third edition Villains and Vigilantes? So then we got Champions. So, of course, we got Champions. That has been around for a long time. In fact, Champions gave birth to the Hero system. And if I remember correctly, I think they're on 4th edition Champions. Maybe. Let's see what else we had. So we had DC, which was from Mayfair. And I don't recall the mechanics of it all that well, but I remember the source books were really well done. And that was back when Mayfair Games was a role-playing game company, which they segued out of that into board games, and that segued right out of the hobby. I still miss, not that I played a lot of Mayfair games. I always feel bad when I see game companies go out of business. I will actually share a quick story that to tell you a little bit about Mayfair. So my best friend Elliot and I ended up going to a diamond distributor conference in Skokie, Illinois. So that Skokie, Illinois is a suburb. Maybe it wasn't. It was right outside Chicago. I think it was Skokie at a hotel. So we went because we had fudged that we owned a comic book store. So we went. And it was pretty funny because at the time I wore a suit and tie every day. And Elliot wore a shirt and tie every day. So we ended up going in, like, I didn't wear my suit. I just had a, tie and stuff like that. Of course, so we're both there in ties, all professional looking. And of course, everybody else looks like they're the comic book guy from The Simpsons. And Mayfair Games held a party in the hotel that night with free food and free drinks. So, and we hung out and we got all this swag, which we then, of course, turned around and sold. But yes, it was actually pretty wild. It was, to me, that's sort of like the first convention we went to. Although we did also get to go to the CES show back when it was closed to the public, because my mom at the time worked for Cobra and she would get the passes because they would go and then share those out. All right. Anyway, so there's a little Mayfair Games story. Mayfair Games, in my opinion, they always took care of the gamers. They really did. Like I said, didn't play a lot of their games, but pretty cool. Superhero 2044. I remember hearing of that. I don't think I've ever seen it. Lou Zocchi. Isn't Lou Zocchi the creator of Zocchi Dice? Disavowed 92 says Mayfair had the best parties. I don't know. That was the only party I went to for Mayfair. I have been to plenty of press parties. Gotta be honest, I think the best press party I went to, and this was San Diego Comic-Con, was, it's tough. It's a toss-up. The most interesting one I went to was for National Geographic's channel. I know, you're like, what? It was for Mars, and they had real astronauts. And of course, it was all the food, all the booze, whatever you wanted, for like 3 hours. And that was it was not only really interesting, it was very, 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 very cool. And they actually had performers on stilts come out dressed as astronauts, handing out Mars bars. And we also got copies of the first season of Mars on Blu-ray. So that was very cool. Kabuki Kid says it's Zaki. Thank you. I don't know. I'm just pulling that, like I said, sometimes I pull stuff out of the old memory bank because I recognize a name. It doesn't mean I know how it's pronounced. So, okay, so we had DC from Mayfair, and like I said, that was pretty cool. It was really cool supplementary material. I don't remember. They did a Batman role-playing game too, which I think is pretty hard to get your hands on. And I believe it was digest sized. Kabuki Kid says, old school Mars bars? Yes, they do. They still make Mars bars. So that was kind of funny. So yes, so here we are. We're having all these, like, foo-foo canapes sort of, and kid boozing it up and eating a Mars bar. It's like, So Kabuki Kid says, I just recently discovered that Mars bars, the American ones, haven't been made in nearly 20 years. There's a Snickers almond now, which is kind of the same thing. I was going to say, you know what? The Mars bars that we got were like Milky Ways. There were no almonds in it. So I don't know. It's kind of funny. I know there's like all these like different kind of candy bars, like between like Canada and the US, and some are very similar. I'm very surprised, speaking of candy real quick. And I mean, I know Cadbury's a big international company, and I like Cadbury Dairy Milk bars. Wish I could get the ones that aren't made here. And I guess I didn't realize they're so huge in Canada as far as candy. I was like, wow. All right, so Marvel, yes, we've got the Marvel role-playing game that was from TSR. And we had like a basic game, and then we had an advanced game, if I remember right. Because right about when those were coming out, I was no longer really following TSR anymore. We were into Call of Cthulhu. So, let's see here. Paul says that he had lost a couple of the maps for Marvel. Called TSR, ended up talking with Jeff Grubb for about 40 minutes, and he mailed me copies of all the maps from the core and modules. Nice. Very cool. It's pretty funny. And this goes way back, that in like game companies, the vast majority of people involved with game companies are super cool, totally down to earth, just awesome people. There are a handful who it's like, seriously, dude, it's a game company, okay? You do realize that, right? So, the score bar, yes, I remember those. I haven't seen those in a long time. Okay, so then we also had, the Margaret Weiss Marvel role-playing, and that came out just before the big Civil War event. In fact, I think the last book that they released for that was Planet Hulk, I think. I remember I reviewed, it was a written review. I did a review of the core book, and I liked it. I thought it was pretty good. And I also did a written review for Civil War, which is still one of my favorite, more modern, big crossover events from Marvel. So yeah, so superhero games, the thing that I find, I think the reason why I've never really gotten into superhero role-playing games is that it's just too easy to just get too much power creep into it. And it's sort of like, okay, well now, okay, so you're all these powers, okay, so now I got to come up with something that's going to be like, going to be able to counter that with the villain, and okay, now and I think that's kind of an issue that many superhero role-playing games have. So Grade A mentions Chaosium had Super World. Yes. So here is a fast fact that I'm sure many people out there already know. So George R.R. Martin, before his Game of Thrones claim to fame, was a writer and editor of the Wildcard series of shared world novels, which I was a huge fan. I think now they're up to like 25, 26 books. I haven't read any in a while because they kind of fell off. And then they weren't out for a long time. But all these various different authors, in science fiction authors, fantasy authors, who lived in the Albuquerque, New Mexico area, all were playing the Super World role-playing game. And that's where the wild cards came from, which last I heard, they were supposed to be making a TV series out of wild cards. So Games Workshop did Golden Heroes. I don't remember that at all. I don't remember Golden Heroes at all. All right. Anyway, pretty long show tonight. So that is it for tonight's episode. Once again, if you like this video, by all means, please give the video a quick thumbs up. Subscribe to the Gaming Gang channel if you haven't already. And if you do subscribe, ding that bell. Because not only will it let you know when the Daily Dope streams live, Monday through Thursday nights, right here on YouTube, it'll also tell you when I upload other videos, such as my upcoming review of Black Sword Hack. And when you're not watching videos on the Gaming Gang channel, be sure to visit thegaminggang.com for all the latest in gaming news, reviews, comics, movies, TV. You know the drill. Get your geek on at thegaminggang.com. Those of you who were watching live, hanging out in chat, thank you very much. Always appreciate you spending some time with me here in the Duct Tape Studios. So I don't feel like a complete idiot just talking to some camera. Hopefully I'm not freaking you the F out. Then again, I know a lot of you out there tend to watch the show after the fact. Maybe even you're watching on Memorex. Regardless, I appreciate all of you taking some time out, not only to watch the Daily Dope, but to check out any of the videos on the Gaming Gang channel. Really, really do appreciate it. All right, so this is the last show for the week because I don't do Friday shows. So, of course, everybody enjoy the rest of your Thursday, Friday, and the rest of the weekend. Hope you have a good time. Have some fun. Stay safe, of course. So, of course, as I wrap up all of my videos during this never-ending and ever-worsening pandemic, I really, really do hope all of you out there are being smart and staying safe. See you next week. Oh, you're still here. Well, once again, thank you very much for watching this video. And of course, if you'd like to subscribe to the Gaming Gang channel, click right here. And of course, if you want to see one of the latest episodes of the Daily Dope, click right on up here. And if you want to roll the dice, take your chances, see what YouTube thinks you might like from the channel, give a click right here. Once again, I'm Jeff McAleer, and I'll see you next time.